And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside Los
Angeles. I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the broadcast. Phone number is 888-659-3727. As a lot of you guys probably know who are watching the broadcast, the Bald Truth site is down. Maybe up now, but it was down for a few minutes before the broadcast, and we were having all kinds of trouble with our software, but we're here. So if you are listening to the broadcast, want to watch the broadcast, you may be watching on Stickam or gfqlive.tv or on Ustream or Justin TV or listening on iTunes or Stitcher Radio or all the many resources that we're on. I'm just not sure if you're able to watch it right now on The Bald Truth. Phone number again, 888-659-3727. We are live from Los Angeles as always. And if you are tuning in for the first time, you don't know what the F this is the Hair Loss Show. That's what it is. This is what we talk about. I have been on the air in some form or another, whether terrestrial radio or satellite radio, internet broadcasting, video, for the last 14 years. And we have been doing our best to safely navigate hair loss sufferers through this crazy, treacherous industry. And frankly, as importantly, if not more importantly, we've been here to provide emotional support for men and women who are dealing with hair loss. We talk about an issue that society does not allow us to talk about. We discuss an issue that for most people, especially men, we're kind of reared to just man up, deal with it. It's hair loss. What's the big deal? Who gives a shit? You're a dude. If you're losing your hair, it's natural, right? It's natural. What's the big deal? Well, I'll tell you this. It is a very big deal. I started to lose my hair at the tender age of 21 years old. And if you're looking at can't speak again tonight. If you're looking at me right now and you're saying, well, the guy's got hair in his head and he's old. Well, it's true. I am 47 years old and I do still have hair in my head. I've been lucky enough to really slow the progression of my hair loss with FDA-approved medication. I am recording, Andrew. And I have been fortunate enough to save enough where I can kind of dummy it up with makeup and hairspray and still look like I have a decent head of hair. I feel extremely fortunate. I made all the right moves, or most of the right moves, early on. Listen, I was ripped off by every snake oil salesman there was back in the late 80s. I traveled the country looking for answers. There was no internet back then. So I actually had to do some real legwork and some real research. And what I found out was just about everything in the hair loss industry back then, as it is today, was complete bullshit. So that's why I started this whole thing. That's why I initially wrote my first book, The Bald Truth, the first complete guide to treating and preventing hair loss, or preventing and treating hair loss. I can't even remember. It's been 12 years ago. And that's why I've had such passion over the last 14 years with this radio broadcast and this internet broadcast to really get the word out there about the reality of living with hair loss. No matter what you see on the screen, I am a hair loss sufferer. I'm bald on the inside. That's what people always say. Because I suffered a great deal, especially in the initial throes of my hair loss. Not knowing where to go, not knowing where to turn. There was no internet. There were no message forums. Well, I mean, there were. There were like, It really started around the infancy of the internet, and there were news groups, or user groups, news. You know what I'm talking about. And sadly, the vast majority of information, as it is today, was really self-promotional bullshit from companies selling products or services. So, we created this place. We, wanted to provide a safe place for men and women to talk and to vent and to learn and to share about products and services in the hair loss industry and share their experiences with finding ways that they lived with hair loss. And that's what this place is all about. Contrary to popular belief, I don't sell shit. I don't sell anything. I'm the founder of a couple of organizations, including the American Hair Loss Association and the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, an organization that I created to really try to separate the great hair transplant surgeons from all the rest. All doctors in the IHRS pay an annual screening fee. And I will not sell surgery. I say this just about on every broadcast. Surgery is your last resort. If you're young, I don't think surgery is for you. And when I mean young, I'm talking, 21, 22, 23, 24, maybe 27, maybe even 28. You really have to be prepared before you decide to go under the knife, so to speak, whether you're actually going under the knife, you're getting an FUE procedure. It's all surgery. And once you're cut, whether it's with a scalpel or whether it's with a punch. Once that hair is moved, once you decide to go for this, there's really no turning back. So you have to be absolutely prepared for everything that may happen. You can have an awesome result that can be life-changing, that can give you years of happiness, or you can have a shitty result. And you can have a shitty result with the best doctor in the world, with the best team. That's cosmetic surgery. That's the way that it is. So you have to be prepared for it, man. If you're considering it, if you're losing your hair and you're young, my advice is to see a doctor, treat it with medication. There are 2 FDA-approved medications that we know work. There are people out there that are now afraid to use those medications, especially finasteride. That's your choice. I certainly understand being concerned about possible sexual side effects. But that's it. That's what we have. That's what's readily available to us right now. If you choose to make that choice and you choose to intervene early, there's a good chance you're going to slow the progression of your hair loss or even stop it. But if you don't, it's my advice to kind of take a step back, maybe consider shaving your head, see how that looks. It's really, it's very accepted today. Don't jump into surgery. Don't think you're going to get surgery, you're going to get your youthful hairline back and that's it, and you're going to move on with your life, because that's unlikely to happen. I don't suggest surgery for anyone who is below a Norwood 3. And the reason for that is, once you get to that point where you're a Norwood 3 or, 3 vertex or Norwood 4, you've already lost a significant amount of hair. Your looks have changed a lot. You've lost that hairline for a pretty long time. You kind of forget about what you looked like before. You're used to seeing yourself with a lot less hair. And adding some hair in the front to frame the face. It's not going to be as thick as your native hair, but just, to get a new look, to frame that face, to kind of get you to the point where you don't look like a balding man. It's a big deal for people who've lost their hair for a long time. But for the guys who are 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, who are just going through the initial throes, if they decide to have surgery of any kind, I'm going to tell you, they're most likely not going to be satisfied. That's just the way that it is. I just wanted to put that out there, and it's important that you guys understand that. Hair loss can be managed, but not everyone's going to be successful at managing it. There's a large percentage, a bigger percentage than I'd like to let you guys know, because I want to give you guys hope. But there's a large percentage of guys that just can't help themselves with medicine. It's not going to work for them. And then there's a larger percentage that are afraid to use it. So they're going to the internet. They're buying all kinds of bullshit concoctions, in my opinion, from overseas, from drugstores from all over the world and the internet, hoping against hope that they're going to slather this shit on. It's going to help them. The truth is, you're most likely wasting your time, your money, your energy. Maybe you should try to figure out something else to do. Focus on something that's going to improve your life. Getting into the gym, focusing on your career. Because honestly, I honestly believe this. If you don't choose to take or to use medication that we know works, it's unlikely that you're really going to help yourself. It is what it is. So if you're unwilling to do that, and I understand why you wouldn't be willing to do that, especially with a lot of the, information that's coming out about 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, then you guys got to consider just kind of moving on. Phone number tonight, 888-659-3727. Andrew, let me know how my volume is since I had to do this new setup and everything. So just kind of let me know if the sound is good and everything's working. 888-659-3727. Let's get straight to the phones. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Yes. As your audience knows, besides my great passion for hair loss, I'm also a student of politics. I have to comment that I find it extremely interesting that Romney chose Paul Ryan as his running mate.
Why? Because he has the best hairline I've seen since Ronald Reagan?
Exactly. The fact that he is a Ronald Reagan-like hairline. You could have a congressman with his same exact credentials, as well known as him, who was a no at 6. He never would have been chosen. It's amazing. A man's genes is about to change the course of history. How interesting. How very interesting.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
My name is excuse me. My name is
Would you like to may I reiterate it?
My name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
Joe, listen, we know the way things work. We know the way things work. And yes, while I think that it's, qualifications definitely have something to do with it, the hair doesn't hurt.
But I'm saying a man with his exact resume would never have been chosen had he been a hair loss sufferer. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Dick Cheney was pretty bald.
Well, that's an interesting point. That's a very interesting point. But they keep comparing Paul Ryan to Ronald Reagan. I think it has something to do with the hair, personally.
Well, I think it has something to do with his hair. I also think it has to do a lot with his politics. But yeah, I mean, the hair is golden, man. I got to tell you, it is beautiful. Beautiful. I don't think I never had a hairline like that, not even as a child.
I just find the whole thing very odd, very disturbing. I want to castigate some people in the chat room I didn't get into the chat room right away due to the fact I couldn't find my glasses.
Is the Bald Truth website back up?
Yes, I'm seeing you now. I'm seeing you now. I had trouble getting into the chat room.
Okay.
For some reason. Now I'm in the chat room. And some suffers were saying, spreading rumors that I was dead. I wasn't very nice, guys.
Well, listen, I think maybe there are concerned people out there. There's also just a bunch of mean people out there in this world, in this crazy internet world that we're a part of. There's a lot of really angry, mean people out there. You just got to deal with it, Joe. You're a celebrity.
I wouldn't say I'm a celebrity. I wouldn't say you're a celebrity. I wouldn't say I'm a celebrity.
Dude, you're a celebrity. You're a celebrity in this crazy world that we're a part of.
Yes, unfortunately, in this sick world that I wish I never was a member of. You know, I'm extremely, as you probably tell by my voice, I'm in an extreme state of depression. It's really hitting me hard tonight. This terrible, terrible disease. You know.
Listen, I'm sorry, man. I know that you're depressed. You've been depressed just about every. I mean, you have different levels of depression. We certainly know that, but I hear it in your voice. So, what's going on today that's different than any other day?
I don't know. It's hitting me. It's hitting me very hard today. I haven't showered in like 3 or 4 days.
Now, what is the deal with that? I mean, do you like give yourself a bird bath or something? How do you walk around or live your life without showering? How do your kids get next to you?
Well, they don't get next to me. I stay locked in my room.
And that's it. You stay locked in your room, Joe.
Yeah. All because of this, problem. All because of this terrible, terrible problem. I've been alone the past few days because they've been away.
And what do you do when you're alone in the house? I mean, obviously you have to eat. You watch television, right?
No, I really don't watch television. It's too difficult for me to concentrate on.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. I have difficulties concentrating on television. When I was younger, I really was able to. And there are times when I can kind of zone out and just enjoy a movie or concentrate on the news. But I'm so involved in my work and in my life and everything that I have to do for this crazy career and my other stuff that I do for my life and my career. I find myself constantly thinking about it. So I kind of understand what you're talking about, Joe.
Yeah, I was in a pretty good mood on Friday. Andrew would do his impersonation of a certain, I won't mention any names, of Bold Truth talk poster. It really gave me a good laugh. But then I started to break down and cry simultaneously, as you know.
What happened?
Well, it's hard for me to deal with the laughter, but Andrew made me laugh so hard as impersonation of this individual.
Oh, well, I didn't want to talk about that. That impersonation of that particular individual it's not a healthy thing to even have on this broadcast.
No, I understand that. But if Andrew's listening, I think he could add something to his impersonation. Should I say it? Or don't say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Listen, I don't want any involvement in that, to tell you the truth. I want to kind of somehow bring some sort of a positive twist to what we're doing. For years, as difficult as hair loss has been for all of us, as difficult as hair loss has been for you, Joe, as difficult as hair loss has been for the over the years, millions of listeners and readers of The Bald Truth, we've always brought a sense of community and hope, and it's a good place to be. And I've noticed a lot of incredible negativity over especially the last few months, and I would say there's a lot of online negativity. I would love that to just kind of get back to where we need to be. And that is helping each other as hair loss sufferers. Not battling it out with each other, not trying to make one point against another person's point. If someone likes one, a hair transplant doctor as opposed to another hair transplant doctor, that's great. There's no reason to have a battle over it. You go your way, let the other guy go his way. You can talk about things. But why, I just want people to kind of be nice to each other. I go on to other message forums. I'm involved in other communities. God, and people are just so decent and patient with each other and kind to each other. In the male hair loss community, it's something like I've seen it over the years, but it seems to be getting worse. And it's on all the forums. What is it? Is it this generation? Is it? What's going on?
I don't know. These people have even infiltrated the baldtruth.com, baldtruthtalk.com. As you know, they finally even started on your website, Spencer.
Listen, I know that. I really try not to get involved, and I try not to. I used to read the forum on Sundays before the show. Now I read it on Tuesdays before the show. I really can't spend a lot of time reading it. First of all, there's some great stuff. There's wonderful conversations happening, but the conversations I'm always pointed to by our moderators is a lot of the nonsense. And when I read this stuff, I have to laugh. I really do. I have to laugh. But I would say that it's disturbing, that this isn't what the community is about. But I guess you have to give people an opportunity to speak their mind and to say their piece and to get shit off their chest. So, whatever. That's what I have moderators for. I read it. It is what it is. And Joe, you got to laugh about it, because if you look at all the hundreds of thousands of threads that are going on the forum, most of it's pretty positive. People are really exchanging ideas and learning from each other and trying to help each other.
I understand that, but it really aggravates me. They're all on the same team. We all have the same dream to one day be able to live a normal life.
Yes.
To live without, to get out of our wheelchairs. You all want to get out of our wheelchairs, but yet we attack one another. That's really, making me sad, Spencer.
It makes me sad too, but you can't change these minds, man. There are different levels of, whatever you want to call it, on all these message forums. There's different levels of pain, let's put it that way. And a lot of guys out there just take out their pain on other people. That's it. They don't know where to vent, how to vent that pain. They put blame on whatever, on you if you say something wrong. They put blame on me, or they make all kinds of crazy accusations, or they're not involved in the reality of what goes on in the hair loss industry or the hair loss world, for that matter. So they make assumptions. And because they're in such pain, they have to blame everybody for what's not going right in their lives. That's just that's the way that it is. I've accepted that, Joe. You have to kind of come to grips with that. That's the way that it is. And I kind of thank God that we have this platform for people who are so unhappy to vent. Because without it, where would they go? What would they do? At least they can vent on our platform, as much as is, reasonably possible. Obviously, the moderators have, the ability to control that. But, they could end up going someplace else and venting, but getting bad information. So, listen, we just try to create a safe environment for everybody. There are a lot of people who love it. We have, like I said, thousands and thousands and thousands of fans. But we're going to have our detractors. We're going to have our haters. I embrace the haters. It doesn't matter. If they're talking about me, or they're talking about you, or they're talking about other people in the industry, that just, keeps us relevant.
Well, I don't think I've become as successful as you yet, because I haven't received any death threats yet. Maybe it's coming next. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I hope that never happens to you. But I have, listen, I got when you just read what? I have death threats. When you just read the shit that's out there, sometimes it's like, all right, dude, this is a hair loss. As devastating as it is, this is hair loss. Just
crippling.
It is crippling. But, we're doing our best to provide great services, great resources. I don't provide any services, but great resources, the best education possible, for the mainstream, for the people who, not necessarily for the hardcore mother effers out there that are spending their entire day online, but for the casual guy that comes in and has just seen an infomercial, and then they find our resources. It's a total awakening for them to realize that, what's being advertised out there isn't necessarily what they're going to be getting. That they might want to avoid the large chain clinics. That they might want to learn more about medical treatment before they consider jumping into surgery. That's what our resources are for. For the guys that want to psychoanalyze, a segment of the people who are involved in the hair loss industry, or for the guys that want to kind of pick apart every scientific study, and for the guys that's great. There's a place for that. But we just want to get people we just want to put people in a safe direction. We want to give them the tools that they need to make an educated decision. And that's it. And Joe, with that comes a lot of bullshit. That's the way that it is.
Well, let me just say one quick, because hair loss sufferers are demanding that I give news out. You know, they're about to execute me if I don't give the news, as you can see by the message forms. Why I'm extremely depressed today is because unfortunately, my father spent a couple of days here, and he's really aggravating me. Why I'm such a heavy drinker? Why I take all these pills? Why I suffer? He saw all the pills in my closet. He couldn't believe I'm on all these medications. He doesn't understand. I mean, he just can't comprehend what it's like to live life as a hair loss sufferer. So I've really given up on.
But isn't that nice, though? Aren't you? I know that you're not, but I mean, I'm sure your father had a tough life in his own way.
No, but I said you don't know what it is to live a life like I live a life. He goes, that's fucking bullshit. He told me.
Well, that's what a guy his age, who was probably in World War II, who was probably lived through the Depression, thinks. These are guys like my father who suffered in other ways. Who, you know, I mean, my father found his dad dead at the age of 11. His father committed suicide. My dad went home for lunch, and he finds his dad dead on the floor. They're rolling him up in a carpet, and then he's sent off to World War II. You know, to fight fucking Nazis.
Well,
and then he has to come and make a living, you know, and he grows up without a father in Depression years, you know, with a mother who really hardly spoke, you know, barely spoke English, could not read or write, and they had to somehow live. You know, your dad comes from those times. So that's a totally different way of struggling through life. You know,
explain to me he never took a drink in his life. I mean, I'm trying to explain to him that he was never a hair loss sufferer. That's why he didn't experience these problems. You know what I'm saying, Spencer?
Look, I absolutely I know what you're saying, and you know what? My dad couldn't understand it when I was younger, and I was going through the initial battle of it, because even though my dad is bald and he was balding for many, many years, he had a hairline. You know, and he was just kind of combed his hair back, and that was the style that he wore. So it didn't really affect his looks that much. I didn't know where my hair loss was going to go, especially when I first started. And, you know, I was so consumed by or with my hair at a young age because, you know, that was really what at least the girls would always comment on when I was younger. Beautiful hair, beautiful hair. I got a haircut, beautiful hair. My, you know, barber, my mother, you know, everybody. Wow, you have beautiful hair. So in my mind, I thought that was where my attractiveness was. That's where you know, I had this tremendous worth that was, you know, given to me by people and strangers because of this crazy head of hair that I had. And when I started to lose that, it really fucked me up. Now, maybe if I was focusing on other things, like, you know, that I was smart and that I was talented, and I'm not being obnoxious, you know, but things that, you know, people have told me in the past, but really they always concentrated on, you know, looks and shit like that. Maybe it wouldn't have affected me as much. But I'm one of those guys that it really, really affected. So I understand, Joe. This is how I made my life. And now, I still have issues when people, you know, find out what I do and ask me about my hair and then start staring at me. And I know that it looks a little weird in person, or I know that it's not what it could be. And I know that when I tell somebody I paint my head, that they're looking at me. You know, I know that when I take an escalator at a movie theater with my, you know, my in-laws and my brother-in-laws, that they're looking at the top of my head because they know they watch this show. They listen to this show. They know what I talk about. So, Joe, it doesn't matter how much hair you save. It doesn't matter how much hair. Well, I guess it does matter. I'm not going to say it doesn't. But, you know, we all struggle in our own ways. Your dad doesn't get it because he had his own struggles, and he was lucky enough not to deal with this shit.
I mean, I'm sorry to say, but I hate my own father. Spencer. Pretty sad.
Well, it's sad that you hate your father because of his hair, but I'm not going to say I don't understand it because there's a lot of envy involved, you know, a lot of jealousy, a lot of like, why has this happened to me? And I think that's what a lot of the guys who are on the message forums are going through. They go through this deep depression, and it's real. It's it's important that people know that you know, when there are guys out there that are like, you know, buck up, you know, it's not the end of the world. Well, it's not cancer. It's not cancer. And it really isn't the end of the world. It really isn't the end of the world. It's difficult to think otherwise when you're facing a lifetime of possible insecurity, looking in the mirror and feeling a lot less attractive, or hating the way that you look. That's a terrible feeling to hate the way that you look. Terrible, terrible feeling that is so overlooked in our society. But it's there.
I just want to apologize why I'm so bummed out. I get to the news, and my father tells me, get the hell out of bed, stop drinking, stop your booze and your pills, and go to work. That's what he told me. I said, I'm able to work. I'm a hair loss sufferer. Don't you understand that? He said, well, I saw a commercial about this company, Bosley. They give you a full head of hair. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, well, that's what they think. We got guys in the chat room who apparently appreciate the kind words, but they want the real news. So give the guys whatever news you have.
All right. Well, there's no real breakthroughs, but Adirond's, they've solved they've solved the issue of hair growth. They're supposedly starting phase 3 really soon. They're still aiming for a release date in the United States of mid-2014, according to what the company said before my detractors attacked me. I didn't say it. Adirond,
Yeah.
Adirond said it. And Hisingen, we're expecting some news soon from the ISHRS conference in October in the Bahamas.
That's right. And listen, by the way, this show is like transcribed, and people put excerpts of it on the internet and like pick it apart. So just watch your P's and Q's, Joe, because then someone's going to call you a name on the internet or say that you are, part of the evil hair loss industry or whatever they say about you and all of us.
All right, and also in September, it should be an exciting fall. In September, what you call it? I'm heavily medicated. I don't know if you can notice that, Spencer.
You know what? I didn't even have a clue. You sound as lucid as you always sound, Joe.
Well, I appreciate that. But Allergan will be announcing it. They've already concluded their phase 2 study of monopros, which is the male pathway of this drug. In September, they'll be announcing actual results of how much hair they've grown, what percentage they're using, what strength they're using. The bottom line is, it works or it doesn't work. I tend to think it works if it's for those running in phase 2. How well it works, I don't know. I'm not privy to the information that these other guys in the message forum are. And I mean that very sarcastic.
Yeah, well, the guys, the guys in the message forums are all, they're up on their shit, man. They know their shit. They know their shit a lot more than I do. They know their shit a lot more than you do. These guys are just well-heeled scientific minds. You know that, Joe, right?
No, I think...
As a matter of fact, it would be... some of these guys should actually have their own program. Get the news out there for everybody. Get out there in the mainstream media, do what we do, and, kick ass and take names. I definitely think, some of these, these kids that were probably in high school like 3 years ago, they got their shit together, man. They are out there researching from their parents' basement, and they know the deal.
But they don't have the corporate secrets. No one does. Where are these guys coming off? You making these comments when they don't know anything. No one knows except people in the actual corporations. Certain people in Allergan know exactly what's going on, but they haven't publicly announced it. Now, how the hell do these so-called experts on the message forum know anything?
Well, listen, they know it all, man. Like Labradoodle says, finally I said something useful. These guys are the guys that I think that everybody needs to take advice from. Honestly, these guys know their shit.
Well, Spencer, you bet. I know you're kidding. You're being sarcastic, but the trackers are going to record that and going to somehow use that against you. So you better be careful what you're saying.
Listen, it is what it is, Joe. You got to have fun with it.
And they want to know. Now, Harry is demanding to know about the histogen pictures from Dr. Zarian. Have you have any information on that?
Say that again.
Harry in the message forum wants to know about histogen. The pictures was.
You know what? I want to know too. Actually, I sent an email off to Dr. Zarian at the end of last week, and I know that he's traveling. I have not heard back from him, but I asked him specifically to have those pictures sent to me, and I also asked him to provide a legend or a description of what the pictures are, so that we can post them on either the Ball Truth or on Ball Truth Talk. So I'm hoping, and again, he usually gets back to me pretty quickly, but I know he's traveling. I'm hoping that I will get something maybe in my email tonight or tomorrow. And if that happens, we'll make sure that it's up there for you.
We have a special program devoted to that.
Say that again?
Have a special program devoted to that when those pictures come out.
I don't know if it's going to be a special program. And again, there's a guy in the message forum saying my sarcastic tone isn't helping these guys. I don't know what you guys want, honestly. This is our broadcast. We are allowed to have fun. We are allowed to provide you guys with a place to vent and to talk and to learn like we always do. We're allowed to get the information out to you guys in the way in which we think is entertaining and effective. And that's it. You guys have your problems. We have our problems. If for some reason you don't like the broadcast, don't listen to it. Don't watch it. Don't be a part of it. And let the guys that really enjoy it and want to be a part of it and love the way and like the way that we produce the show and get the information out to you guys, let them enjoy it in peace. Right, Joe?
Definitely. Johnny from Ohio is making a nice comment. I don't know if you read it. I don't know why I said it on the air, but I want to trigger FCC investigations. Spencer told them to blank off.
Look, they do whatever they can do whatever the fuck they want. They could be a part of this. They could understand that what we do benefits millions of people. And if they don't get it, listen to another radio show. Look at themselves in the mirror for a while. Go out and have fun. Whatever. See a movie. Let's take a phone call, Joe, all right?
Just one more final piece of news, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
When people asking me about neogenic, it's being released in September. I hate to say it, but I don't think there'll be anything miraculous about it.
I don't think so either, but I'm afraid to say that. I'm afraid to say that because, then I'm being a naysayer.
Well, that's it's my lay expert opinion. I hope to be wrong.
Joe, I know that you talk about your drug abuse and your depression and all that stuff, and sometimes you do communicate like you have marbles in your mouth. But I will say this: you know a lot, and you're really a lot smarter than maybe you think you are. And I think there's a lot of people out there that love you participating on the program every week and the information that you provide, and they look forward to it.
I wish I could provide more information to make these cats happier, but I can't force them.
Well, listen, one day we will, and when that day happens, I'm out of here. I'll be like sayonara, motherfuckers.
Well,
have a good life.
I want to do a live broadcast with you first, Spencer. Sitting next to you with a beautiful head of hair.
Well, you know what? We will definitely. If I can get you that beautiful-looking head of hair, and if I can improve my head of hair and stop painting it, then we will definitely do that. But even if I don't, even if I say, you know what, Joe, I'm 47, 48, I'm going to retire. I'm going to go off to, greener pastures and, further enjoy my life or do something else with my life. I would love for you to actually be on camera with me to do that last show. Will you do that for me?
Well,
we could Skype it. We could Skype into your home. We could have a camera in there. We can set everything up. You don't have to leave the confines of your bedroom.
I'm sure Andrew Zarian and his production team, production team would have something to do with that. Am I correct?
We will, yeah. And you got guys in the chat room saying they wouldn't even listen to the show if it wasn't for you, Joe. That's how important you are. Listen, I'm going to take a phone call, all right?
I don't believe I'm important, Spencer. I really don't.
I know you don't, but you are. So deal with it. Let's see who this is.
Thank you, Spencer.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
All right, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. This is a Micah from New York.
Micah, you're going to have to turn down your radio or your computer.
Just did it. It's Mike from New York. How's it going?
Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Nothing. So I got a question for you. I've been on Propecia. I got on it maybe 2006 or so. I don't remember. I'm now 36 years old, and I recently stopped taking it because I'm married, and the wife did a lot of digging on her end and talked to her doctors, and we were told that it's not a good idea to have the drug in the system while you're trying to start to have a family. I'm
not going to say that's, again, I'm not a physician. I'm not going to say that's unreasonable.
Yeah, no, and listen, you never know what can happen these days. So it's, it was, for me, that was kind of my, that's just something I have to do. So I got a couple of questions. So I stopped taking the drug about in January. And if people looked at me, people would probably say, you don't have any hair loss, but it's the kind of thing that you yourself notice, and when you start losing your hair, and and you see the difference.
Sure.
On all different fronts. So I guess my first question is, and also I think the drug helped me out a lot. It was also around the same time that I discovered Topics. So the two of them combined, both Propecia and the Topics combined, really did wonders. Did wonders for me. So now that I've gotten off of it, I'm definitely starting to see a lot of changes, especially. I'm not too up on the terminology, but like the front part of my scalp.
Your hairline is miniaturizing again, and you're starting to recede again. Let me ask you a question before you get to my question. How do you feel? I mean, and again, listen, I personally think you've done the right thing. For years, even before some of the recent findings and news reports, which, I'm not completely clear on, but. And that's all. I'm not going to get into that any further. But for years, when people would ask me, even though the drug manufacturer and doctors would say, you know what, it's safe to continue the drug, even if you're trying to start a family. I've known so many people who have, and everything's been fine. I've always advised people, and again, I'm not a doctor, to take take some time off if you're going to have a kid, and you could always get back on. Let me ask you this: did you just get off of it because you guys plan in the future to have a child, or are you guys actively trying to conceive right now?
No, we before we would even try to start, that was one of the things that we discussed. We would do. I would do.
But are you trying to start? Are you starting right now, or is it like we're going to do it in a year from now?
No, we're going to start. We're kind of starting, not starting. If it kind of happens kind of thing.
Right.
If that makes sense. So yes, we are starting.
Okay, no, it makes sense. But how do you feel about it? I mean, I think it's the right thing to do. But is there any resentment there now that you're losing your hair again?
I mean, you know what? I think I would feel. I think I would. There's no resentment. But I think I would feel a lot worse if I was to stay on the medication and something there was something wrong.
For sure, I mean, absolutely. That would devastate me. I would never do it. I've chosen not to have children, and I know that's usually not your choice. But I found a woman who I think still doesn't want to have children. Who knows? I mean, she's younger than me, but at this point, we've kind of realized that this is the life that we want. And I said, you know what? I want to stay on this medication. I never want to take a risk. I'm not, I have a lot of life and work that I'm dealing with that, it may be difficult to bring a child into my world anyway. So I made that conscious decision. So I'm just curious. I think it was a smart move. I think it was a responsible move, and it was the right thing to do to get off the drug. I just kind of wanted to know what your feelings were about it. And, I'm sure that there are some men out there who would resent it. I'm glad that you don't.
But, I mean, what is it that, if you think about it, and if anyone's kind of dealing with the same thing, I mean, what is the resentment? What is the resentment that you want to make sure that you have a healthy child? That's how
a normal person thinks. But there are guys out there who have called this program who would, and I would say that Joe from Staten Island would probably be a fine example of this, that would resent their wives for forcing them to do something like that. And they're not even thinking about the kids, but it's more of, in the back of, in the front of their mind, they want the kids to be safe. But in the back of their mind, they're like, but now I have to be bald. So I just kind of wanted to know what your thoughts are. You seem obviously like a very reasonable, responsible, normal, guy who made the right decision. I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, no, it's listen, it's tough. It's tough, and I'm at the point now where, again, you ask people, you ask friends that you're close with, your wife, and they don't know what the hell you're talking about when you say that you're losing your hair. But obviously, we all know our hairlines, and we know what happens, and how much more we have to, how much time we have to spend. More time we have to spend covering it, or how quicker the Topics bottle is going than it used to go. So
that sucks, man. It sucks.
So that's. But I guess that's kind of leads me to my questions, and that is, one, what is it? And it's a bunch of different questions. I don't want to take too much time, but I guess what can I expect? Now that I'm off of it, what can I do, to try to maintain? I mean, the thing that they said, that I've heard about all these drugs, Rogaine and Propecia, is that it's really meant for, the back of your head, but Propecia definitely, if it didn't help grow any hair up front, it definitely kept it there. So do I have any option with Rogaine now? Can I take, will Rogaine even do anything for me at this point in time?
Well, let's put it this way. Even though Rogaine is applied topically, and again, let me preface this by letting you guys know again that I'm not a doctor, there is still some systemic effects. So you're still going to have this in your bloodstream. To me, it's like if you're going to, and again, there's probably absolutely no issues with it. But if you're going to have a child, and if you're trying to conceive, and you've gotten off this medication, I probably would put as little in my body as possible, even something topically.
Okay.
But
I didn't even think of that.
But listen, every doctor is going to say it's perfectly safe. But honestly, who the hell knows? I think, you have the right way of thinking as far as your kid comes first, period. And I'm not saying to anybody out there that minoxidil is going to cause birth defects. There's absolutely no evidence of this whatsoever. None. But you know what? I mean, you can, you might want to wait until after you have your kid, or at least you conceive. But again, that's just my advice. I'm not a doctor.
I didn't even think about that.
There is some school of thought, and some doctors who I happen to respect that believe in low-level laser light therapy. I am not a huge fan of kind of like some of the handheld combs and stuff like that. And I honestly, Everything that I've seen and heard has been anecdotal. The clinical stuff, I'm still not quite sure how to read. But I have had some people contact me saying that they bought this laser cap and they think it's working for them. And to me, it's cheap. It's not going to affect you systemically or affect your kid. And if there's any remote chance that it could help you, why not sit around and watch TV with a laser cap on your head for a few hours a night, or however long they suggest it. Now,
a laser cap. I don't know.
Now this seems ridiculous, and I can't believe it's coming out of my mouth. But the truth is, there does seem to be some evidence kind of creeping in more and more that these low-level laser light devices are kind of helping some people slow the progression of their hair loss, and some people are making claims that it's actually regrowing their hair. In a case like this, I think it's a very safe route. I don't know if it's going to help you or not, but there's a guy by the name of Dr. Alan Bauman who is a big believer in it. We've had him on the program. There are other doctors out there that are, even Bob Bernstein, who is a very conservative guy, offers low-level laser light therapy in his practice for free. From what I understand, I could be wrong, but I think it is for free for his hair transplant patients because he believes that it does somehow stimulate hair growth to some degree. So you could check out the laser cap and see if that's something. You can contact Alan Bauman at his office and ask them about it, and that might be something worth trying. I just don't know if you want to really screw with any medication right now when you're planning on having a kid.
Yeah, no, I like I said, we've talked about the Propecia piece of it, but never, I didn't even think about, just because it's topical, I haven't even thought that the issue with Rogaine at all.
And there's a guy in the chat room who's like, laser combs are like penis enlargement pills. And I got to tell you, man, I'm not a fan of the laser comb. I'm not a fan of a lot of these laser devices, but I've been getting more and more reports. And again, it's all anecdotal that the guys that are using these kind of more of a concentrated, the diodes in these caps seem to be, and it could be a placebo effect, but they seem to be getting results. I just wanted to put it out there. I don't have any ties to these companies, and I certainly don't sell these caps. But, I just kind of want to send you in a safer direction if possible.
No, that's, I'll definitely, read up on that and look into it. I know everybody is different, and everybody reacts to the medication different. Everybody probably reacts to stepping off getting off the medication differently. I mean, it seems like it's changed fairly quickly over the past 3 months. So I guess I'm trying to, based on your experience and what you've read and have talked to people about, I mean, what the heck can I expect over the, am I going to go completely bald by next year?
No. Well, let me ask you a question. Give me the time frame. How long have you been on it?
I was on it for about, I was trying to think about that before I called. I think probably around 5 or 6 years.
All right, now that's a long time. And did you progress at all during this time, or did you really stave things off?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Did you progress at all, or did you really hold your progression in check?
It's hard to tell because, like I said, I also at the same time discovered the topics. So I kind of did it at the same time. So I felt like I was like, any implications of hair loss were almost non-existent at a given, when I first went on it.
Well, I can tell you this. Statistically, what we know happens, statistically, this isn't going to happen with everybody. You're not going to all of a sudden, and you're not on Rogaine or minoxidil right now.
No.
Okay. First of all, if you get on Rogaine or minoxidil, which is the same thing, the likelihood of a shed is it's huge. Most people will go through an initial shed. For some people, it lasts a very long time. For some people, it's it's a short shed, and then, things work out. There are guys who are very successful with the drug. I always kind of look at it as a Band-Aid, and I really never suggest it. It's kind of like a last resort, in my view, not a doctor. So you don't want to deal with that. I think that can kind of put you into a tailspin, especially since you got off the drug now and you see that you are, kind of progressing a little bit. As far as where you're going to go, you're not going to lose your hair overnight. You may end up where you would have been at this stage if you hadn't taken the drug. And what I mean by that, you may end up there at a faster rate. So, for instance, if you didn't start the drug 5 years ago, you would be at a certain point in your hair loss. Probably not. Probably not. I don't know what your genetics are, but you're probably not completely bald. Maybe just a receded hairline and a thin spot. You can get there. The clock kind of starts ticking again once you get off the drug. So it may take just a couple of years as opposed to 5 years to get to where you would have been if you didn't take the drug. It's not going to happen overnight, though. It may take 3 years. You know what I mean? But it's not all. It's not like all of a sudden you're going to shock out all your hair and go through a telogen effluvium and lose all your hair. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I kind of have a feeling that if you can kind of get on the stick with this kid thing, and get her pregnant, you might be able to get yourself back on the drug. In time to save your ass.
Well, and I guess that was kind of where my final piece to this it was, I guess that answered it. Can I go on again? What can I expect from it the second time? And what I've noticed is, it's funny because I'm not a big drug person. I don't like to take drugs, much at all. Even if I have a headache, I'd rather sit through the headache than take an Advil. But for some reason, obviously, the Propecia always, is something that I made that exception for.
It's your hair, man. What do you? Of course, it's your hair. I get it.
So I guess my question here is and what I was getting to also is that after reading, looking on your website, and I know you had people were talking about, I forgot what it was,
post-finasteride syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I would have known about that 5 years ago. Had I would have gone on the drug. I don't know. But I guess my question is, again, what can I expect?
Let me ask you this first of all. How long have you been off the drug before you finish your question?
I've been off since January.
All right. You do not have post-finasteride syndrome. You are.
I'm sorry.
You're currently having sex with your wife.
No. I didn't. I'm not. Nothing. Thank God, nothing happened with it. But obviously, reading about it, kind of, you kind of wonder. So that's.
This is what I advise people to do, especially if you're on the drug. Don't read anything. If you've already taken the drug, you're on it for a long time, and this is for everyone out there that is, currently panicking, who's been on the drug for 8 years because they're reading this stuff. You're fine. It's very unlikely something is going to happen. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but most people that take this drug have a good experience with it, and they don't have adverse side effects. There are people that do, and that sucks. But you're not one of them.
Yeah, no. So I guess, getting to my question was, am I more, if I go on it again, am I more or less likely to see results, more or less likely to feel the side effects, if there are any side effects?
Well, let me ask you this. Why do you think you would suffer or experience side effects your second time around as opposed to your first time around? Now, I guess anything is possible. We are constantly changing as, our bodies evolve and our hormones are changing slightly as we get older. But it's probably, and again, I'm not a doctor, very unlikely that you especially since you did fine the first time around, that you'll have any issues the second time around. So I don't want you to have that in your mind. And as far as experiencing good results, is that your second question?
Yeah. What kind of results can I say more or less?
I would say you could expect the same results. Since you don't really know what those results were because you had most of your hair when you started, maybe you'll get some regrowth. There's a good chance that you'll get, that you'll stop or slow the progression of your hair loss again And there's certainly a chance that you may get some regrowth. Will you get back to the point where you were before you stopped? I can't say. But I think there's a possibility, especially if you're not off it for a long period of time. If you're off it for a year, I think there's a good chance that you're going to be okay and that you're going to be able to kind of get back to where you were. But you never know. You never know. Everybody's different. That's the problem.
Okay.
I wish I could be more definitive. I wish I could say, "Hey, listen, dude, you're cool. Everything's fine. Just get back on this, and you're gonna have all your hair." You know, I can't do that.
If you have a happy, healthy kid, it's all worth it. So
you're right about that, man. And you know what? You made the right decision, and I'm proud of you.
Well, thanks, Spencer. I appreciate it. And that's funny. I discovered your show probably when you were on what was it, the LIR or DRE back. I don't know how long ago that was.
I was on LIR and DRE, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was a long time ago, man.
Yeah. So I appreciate it. It's great to see that you're still on and helping people out.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I'm getting tired of it. I'm just kidding. I'll talk to you later, man. Listen, good luck, and again, you made the right decision. And let us know, when you have a kid.
I definitely will.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. I'm going to let me go back to Joe, and then I'll take a phone call, and then I have to take a break. Joe, what do you think about this guy's situation? I saw in the chat room that you would be sneaking Propecia behind your wife's back. I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, Spencer, okay, I'm sorry.
Go.
Well, my opinion, as you know, I'm not a physician, but excuse me. While I was actually trying to have a kid, I was actually taking Propecia, man.
Listen, I have my good buddy, Raphael, who was on this program. He had his kid while perfectly normal, beautiful child while on Propecia. I know Specs, Spencer, I don't know if he uses his last name online. I think he does now. But he has twins, perfectly healthy, happy, healthy twins. There are thousands of kids born from, let's say, ball truth families who are happy and healthy. But I wouldn't take the chance. I tell people that all the time. But I've chosen not to have a kid.
Well, of course, the fact you're on finasteride.
Well, I wouldn't take a chance because I've been on the finasteride for almost 20 years, and I'm not going to get off of it. So is that selfish? No, I don't want to. I don't want to fuck up my kid potentially. And frankly, I don't think that I need to bring another child into this crazy world. That's how I feel about it. If I really want to have a kid, there are plenty of kids out there that need homes.
Well, my kids were born because I was a hair loss sufferer. I brought them into this horrible world.
I know.
If I wasn't a hair loss sufferer, I never would have my lovely wife, my kids never would have been born.
Look, maybe I'll pull like an Angelina Jolie. I'll have like a little black kid and a little Asian kid. I think that would be great. That would be cool.
Well, get back to this gentleman. I would just take the Propecia. That's my opinion. If it's helping him, I wouldn't.
Well,
in my case, then do a damn thing. But
yeah, well, I think that's. I'm gonna have to put the kibosh on that and tell Mike from New York that I think that's a bad idea. Joe, I'm gonna take a phone call, and then I am going to. I don't know who's been holding the longest.
Well, Spencer, I hope you don't mind disagree with you. I disagreed with you on that.
I don't mind. Dude, I'm fucking used to that, man. All right, hold on.
I never disagree with you. Okay.
Well, the world does. Well, not the world, but a few people.
Well, okay.
Hey, who's this? You're on the air. Sorry, Joe.
Hey, Spencer, what's up? This is John from New York calling. I don't know if you remember me, but I called in a couple of times in the past.
How can I not, John? How can I not remember you? You send me great emails. I promise you that I'm going to contact Angela Cristiano. I don't get my shit together to do that for you, and I feel bad, and I want to apologize. But how can I not remember you?
I'm going to get Joe to castigate you for that.
Hey, John, I heard rumors you're trying to steal my job. You're so smart. You're trying to take my job away, man. I need the work.
Wow, you remember me too, Joe, huh?
Yes, I designated you as the most intelligent ball truth call we've ever received. Remember that, Spencer?
Wow, I appreciate that. Spencer, anyway, I was
Hold on.
Not a problem, Joe. Anyway, Spencer, the last time I really talked in depth with you was on this show, was about 3 months ago. So I was wondering if I could go over some of the stuff that I did before and then also mention some new stuff to you as well.
You know what? That's what we want to hear, bro. You should call in more often. Go ahead.
Beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, let me tell you, the reason why I researched all of these possibly new and innovative methods to regrow hair is because I really believe that a lot of hair loss sufferers today really want and need much better options than those that are available. I recently read on an IAHRS surgeon's website that only 2 to 7% of all hair loss sufferers opt for the treatments that are available today.
That's true.
And I really believe that this is not only because today's options, I believe, are not nearly as effective as they should be, but also because each option has significant drawbacks. First, I mean, minoxidil, I really think just doesn't do much of anything. I mean, it didn't do anything for me. A lot of other people that I know just really didn't do anything. Finasteride obviously can be effective in slowing hair loss and maybe even stopping hair loss too. But, then there's the risk of side effects, some of which that I'm even experiencing now. And lastly, with hair transplants, they're so widely marketed. Yet I think that I mentioned only 2 to 7% of people. I would probably even say less than 2 to 7% of people.
I mean, do you have like a teleprompter because you were so fluid? It's unbelievable.
Wow. No. I just try and take it slow.
You're good, man.
Rush my words. I took a speaking class in college, so
you're awesome. I got to give you your props.
Thanks, Spencer, and I appreciate you affording me the ability to talk to you like this. So,
you got it.
Props to you as well. Okay, so anyway, so like I said, a lot of these hair transplants are so widely marketed, yet only a small percentage, like 2 to 7%, opt for them, which really shows me that despite how widely practiced they are, that they really aren't meeting the needs and expectations of the majority of most hair loss sufferers. And obviously it also presents significant flaws, like permanent head scarring, the inability to generate even close to a full head of hair, and, a lifelong commitment to medication, which causes side effects in myself and several other people that I know.
Right.
So I've really got to tell you, Spencer, that you're really right. I've heard you say a bunch of times when you say that with each treatment we're being sold, quote, as you say, a bill of goods. We're really being sold a bill of goods, which may have positive, which do a lot of them do have positive aspects, but there are plenty of negative.
Well, no, not a lot of them. There's only a few that have positive aspects. Most stuff that's being sold out there is bullshit. The stuff that works, the stuff that works will A, not work on everybody. And, B, it just work to variable degrees on the people who these treatments do work for.
Yeah, that's actually what I meant with stuff like minoxidil, finasteride, and hair transplants. No, I didn't mean like the bullshit stuff like the herbal,
right.
Like all the herbal BS out there. Yeah, that's just BS. I totally know that too. So anyway, yeah. You mind if I go over a few of these treatments that I know I went over some of them before, but you mind if I do it again?
I don't mind at all. I have 21 minutes on my computer before I have to go out and get my power cord. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, let me mention to you first of all, my favorite of these. In July of 2009, it was reported that an Egyptian scientist and dermatologist named Marwa Fawzi treated eight children with alopecia areata and achieved outstanding hair growth results. Her methodology was that she took a small biopsy from each child's scalp, isolated the hair follicle stem cells, multiplied them for about a month, and then re-injected the cells into the bald areas of each child. And I mean, I got to tell you, from what I read, the results were just amazing. 5 out of the 8 children grew at least 50% of their hair back, and one child, who was previously almost totally bald, regrew nearly all of his hair.
Now, I know you said that you contacted her, right?
I tried, but she never responded to my emails. Yeah, I tried contacting her. I mean...
All right, now, I know that you sent me the information. I know that you did. I know that you did, and I have not even attempted to contact her. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I don't believe this or that I don't want to contact this person. It's just that I got so much shit on my plate. But I will tell you this. and I know that you're not going to believe this, but if you don't send me a whole thing, just send me her contact information, and I will get an email off to her and see if she's willing to get back to me.
Okay.
All right.
Not a problem.
All right.
Not a problem. I'll just send you that email. Sometimes, I could get off on a tangent as well. We're all guilty of it, I guess.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay, not a problem. So, but anyway, with this treatment, why it astounded me so much, is that even though these children had alopecia areata, that I really believe it could work for androgenetic alopecia as well, because she didn't use some like corticosteroid that inhibited the immune system from attacking the follicles. Instead, she used a form of hair multiplication where healthy hair follicles were extracted, multiplied, and then re-injected. And then, best of all to me, was that since her experiment was performed on children, it really illustrated the safety of it all, which could possibly mean that her method could be performed on adults suffering from baldness without the need, for lengthy and rigorous clinical trials.
Right.
I mean, it just astounded me because she's done basically what prominent companies like Adirans and Retrocel, could only hope to achieve. She did it, but her groundbreaking results were only reported on once, and then totally forgotten about it. And it's just so alarming and suspicious to me. But as you say, the hair loss industry is full of corruption, full of BS artists.
But let me ask you: do you think? I mean, when you say suspicious, do you think for some reason that because I will tell you that the medical community, the real scientific community, would not hold this back in any way. The hair loss industry is not necessarily the real scientific community. There are real scientists who are focusing on hair loss. But most of the companies and people out there who are selling some sort of a product or service, while they may say that they are men of science, I would say that that's probably questionable, and maybe there's a very, very small handful that are currently making money in the hair loss world that are really true scientists. So I don't think that would be held back by science. I think if she was able to present that like in Nature or in JAMA or in some real medical journal, I don't think there's going to be anybody out there that's going to want to stop this.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mean that it's held back or something. It just seems like with these, like I said, with these outstanding results, and then it's just forgotten about. I don't know what's going on. That's really the only thing. You're right that only a handful of people are making money in the hair loss industry, because as I said before, only the statistic, only 2 to 7%.
No, that's not what I meant. There are plenty of people making money in the hair loss industry. There are only a handful of real scientists that are involved in the hair loss industry. The rest of the people that are involved, who may be doctors, I wouldn't consider to be scientists, even though they kind of will write papers and claim to be people of science.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, No, I guess what I meant too is that, I guess what I meant is that like a lot of the people that could be served from the hair loss industry aren't.
Let me pose this scenario to you. Say in the next couple of years we come up with a protocol where we have unlimited donor area for, say, a NOAA 6. Now, approximately 3% of the population will have hair transplants. In your opinion, how many people do you believe, what percentage of the population, if we had unlimited donor area, would then hair transplant would be a viable treatment? What percentage of the population would go for it then?
Okay, well, it would probably be a little more than the 2 to 7% statistic that I mentioned before, but I'm not sure it would expand like exponentially like it would, let's say if there was a cellular hair regeneration method that would, come without the scarring or something that would stimulate the hair follicles to grow rather than, moving them from one place to another. Because I think Spencer even brought this up once before, that, even if the follicles could be regenerated, you would need like so many transplants to give maybe a Norwood 6 or a 7 a full head of hair.
Norwood 6 would need about 35,000 grafts. Well, I've studied the rats and the mess.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. You know, it's like, I mean, I really commend Spencer for starting the IAHRS, because the ISHRS. I mean, I see so many butchers on there that I don't know what the credentials are to be part of that organization, but it honestly must not be a lot, because I see plenty of butchers on there. And as a matter of fact, I mean, Spencer, I'm not going to mention the name, but the guy, you know, that the lawsuit guy, you know, I mean, the guy, you know, I mean, he's a valued member on there.
Listen, and I think I'm glad you brought that up. I think it's important, especially that the young guys know, that the guys who are just kind of entering this world, who don't understand, you know, the importance of the IHRS or what we're doing here at the Bald Truth. You know, there was a time in this industry, kids, that it was truly the Wild West. There was no distinction between the doctors that were doing it well and doing it the right way from those who were not, from those who are truly butchering people. Not just the guys, you know, now they're calling guys who are doing conventional strip procedures butchers. But these were the guys who were changing lives and who were evolving this field to a point where we were getting really aesthetically beautiful results. And yes, you have a scar in the back of your head. It was a trade-off that people were willing to take, especially when you saw what the work used to look like. So we were able to kind of, you know, put these guys in a position of prominence. And now all the guys that you see being written about in the message forums, the Alan Fellers and the Rahals and the Hassan Wongs and the Bernsteins and Shapiros and, you know, and all the great guys out there, were part of the IHRS at the very beginning, during the, you know, of its inception, because they were changing this industry, and no one, at least the powers that be in the ISHRS, and again, this is my opinion, were really willing to listen, to evolve their practices. So we wanted to change things in this industry, and frankly, we did. But now there's a bunch of young guys out there who don't really understand the history of things and kind of think that, you know, Kobren's holding on to these, you know, strip butchers because, you know, he's worried that he's not going to make a living. You know, we're continuing to evolve, and things are going to continue to evolve. And I think, go ahead.
I think, I don't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
Sorry, I actually going to have to take a break because my computer is going to die, but go ahead.
Okay. No, what I was going to say, I mean, obviously, you do get a lot of lunatics on the forums. I see it, you know, people who will just talk negative to talk for negative sake, you know. Every post is negative. But, I mean, the reason why I think they do it, it's not justified, because no one should attack you like that. That's first of all. But the reason they do it, it's such an emotionally charged topic, and it's like a lot of people are just really, you know, not satisfied with the options out there today. You know, myself included, I never attack you. We all love you, but, you know...
well, I'm not satisfied with them either. That's the thing. These guys don't understand that. I'm not satisfied with the options we have available. This is it. This is the shit we have. And, you know, if other options are actually, if there's a one doctor or whoever that's doing something that's so unique and that's really going to evolve this field and change this field, I am all for it, man. I'm on board.
That's why, I mean, I commend you for creating, like I said, the IAHRS, because I believe like all those doctors are ethical. They're not going to screw you over. The problem, like I said, what I have with hair transplantation is just the procedure itself is very limited. You know, in order to get from the donor hair, it's just not mathematically possible to create a full head of hair on top.
That's right.
It's not. It can't
happen.
That you could extract, you know, from a person's donor region. That you know, that's so. I figure, you know, if I'm paying like $20,000 and I'm going to incur permanent head scarring, you know, I better get more than just, you know, simply an illusion of some hair. You know, if I'm going to incur all that, I want something close to a full head of hair.
Look, and you know what? I can't disagree with that, man. I think that's, you know, and that's why a guy like you know, shouldn't have a hair transplant. And that's why a lot of guys who have hair transplants and who end up coming back in the message forums who are fucking, you know, they think they're fucked up and they're disappointed. They should never have had a hair transplant to begin with. But listen, dude, I got to take a break. I always appreciate your call. Just send me the email address and a little paragraph, and I will send this person an email, all right?
Okay, not a problem.
All right, bro. Listen,
John, can I say about it, John?
Yeah, John. First of all, John, you're a valued caller to this program, and I really appreciate it. I want you to call in anytime you want.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. I'll send you you know what? In addition to that, you mind if I send you a little paragraph that I couldn't read on air just about another discovery? Would that be cool?
I would like. And you know what? You could also call in next week to let us know what you wanted to read. Joe, say something really quick because my computer's going to die. I got to take a break.
John, you know what?
Yeah.
You're almost as smart as I am.
Wow, holy shit.
All right, guys, on that note, I'm going to take a break. 888-659-3727. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You are listening to and watching The Bald Truth. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
He's an international best-selling author, a contributing editor for Consumer Digest magazine, and the host of the longest-running reality radio show for men. I'd say he's the man.
And the truth shall set you free!
It's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome back. Phone number is 888-659-3727. I am Spencer Kobren, and you are listening to and watching The Bald Truth, self-help radio for guys, and of course for girls who get it. 2/3 of you by the age of 35 will suffer with some degree of hair loss. 40% of hair loss sufferers are women, and this is a fucked up epidemic of biblical proportions that affects just about every household in the world. If you know somebody that doesn't understand hair loss, they have to be under the age of 25, not married, or somebody. They have to understand to some degree if they have lived any life. Now, they may not understand how devastating it really is unless they actually live with somebody, whether it's their wife or, maybe a sibling or whomever who are dealing with hair loss. And they'll never fully understand unless it's happening to them. But everybody knows it's a fucked up situation. And I think that's why, to get back to the message forums and to get back to what John was saying, so many people are angry out there who take the time, the guys that frequent all the forums, who spend a lot of time on the forums, they're very, very angry. And you know what? Understandably so. When you're dealing with hair loss, you're looked at differently in life. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be, for some people, it's going to be more difficult to meet people. We're going to be judged differently than those who have completely full, normal heads of hair. As much hair as I still have on my head, it's not normal. It doesn't look normal. There's something a little off about it. I'm kind of growing into it now that I'm 47. But when I was 27 and I had to pull this Harry Houdini or the comb-over bullshit, it wasn't easy. It wasn't something that I loved having to do. But I did it, But I was told by people in my life, by women who I would just meet, things like, wow, you're really attractive. You might want to consider getting a haircut or changing your hairstyle. Thank God, after 20 some odd years, this hairstyle is finally back in style to some degree. But I heard that. That was painful. But you know what? I persevered. Still got the girl. Lived my life. Did my thing. Had fun. Met great people along the way. If I had to slap on a hairpiece, do in a second. Tried partial pieces. Have worn partial pieces. It's not a big deal. You just have to come to grips with it and realize, you know what? This is my life. It is what it is. What am I going to hide in a fucking hole for the rest of my life? and not deal with my life as it is and be bitter and unhappy? I'm not going to live that way. I suffered enough. I still deal with depression over it to some degree, or disappointment when I'm getting ready to go to a business meeting or to a wedding or to whatever it is, and I'm all suited up and I look great, but my hair's not right, or there's not enough hairspray or too much hairspray, or if the wedding's going to be outdoors, I got to worry about that. Or if we're meeting people for lunch and it's a brunch outside, it freaks me out. I have to, it sucks that I have to live this way. But you know what? I'm not going to let it destroy my life. It didn't when I was younger, and it's not going to do it now. And that's what you cats have to come to grips with. You have to learn how to deal with what you have. There's message forums probably about every ailment known to man. Small penis message forums. Guys who have small penises think that that's a major issue in their life. And maybe it is. But they have to deal with it. Small breast message forums or whatever. Whatever society looks at as a possible issue. There's some crazy message form attached to it. But I would say the vast majority of people who use these resources, realize they're there for help and support, and they realize that, there's worse things. You could be missing a limb or an eye. Let's take a phone call, 888-659-3727. Hey, who's this? You're on the air.
Hello?
Hello.
Spencer?
Yes.
Hi. Oh, I'm so glad. I've been on here for about a little over an hour.
Oh, I'm sorry to keep you on hold so long. Who's this?
I don't mind at all. My name's John. That's a generic name, by the way.
Okay, that's a good generic name, John.
I like your analogy because I recently lost a testicle to testicular cancer at 24, and prior to that, I thought hair loss was the world, and it was good to kind of get a reality check, and it helped me get over the entire thing. But
well, first of all, I want to say I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad that you're here to tell the story.
Yes, I appreciate your sympathy, and it was really a blessing in disguise, and I'm glad I can look at it that way. So I'm one of your more controversial posters on the Bald Truth, and I bring up a topic that people really are very sensitive to, and I have some research that I've done over the years and come to some conclusions that really just are very, very controversial. And it's this whole thing about, and you're probably going to cringe as soon as you hear it, but it's this whole thing about a combination between tight scalps and increased DHT levels being produced at the site of hair loss for men, for the majority of men, being the prostate. And I haven't really been able to get any attention brought to it on a mainstream level.
Let me ask you this: Are you the anti-masturbation guy?
I'm in no way am I an anti-masturbation guy. I've masturbated since puberty, and I did it very, very often, like most of us. And in no way am I spiritual, religious in any form. So everything that I do say is purely from a scientific.
No, I certainly understand. But you're the guy that preaches anti-masturbation abstinence, in a sense.
Well, not masturbation abstinence, yes, but not masturbation. But because
why would I cringe about that? I think it's what do I care? That's your issue. That's what you believe. You certainly have the right to come on the message for. I know that I have been alerted by the moderators that you've maybe had to be kind of had your wrist slapped a couple of times, but you're certainly allowed to post your opinions.
You guys have been more than fair, and I think I've been deserving of any moderation that I've ever received for just being a little too pushy of my beliefs.
Well, you know what? I'm glad to hear you say that, because you sound now that makes me think you're a really normal guy.
I am, and I've been doing the methods that I preach for 3 years, and haven't just halted hair loss, have quite literally reversed it. The thread that I would like, really, if you ever get a chance just to read, is highlights a few key points that people don't understand, and one of them being that 95% of the testosterone that leaves your testicles and gets to the prostate is converted into DHT. When Propecia, the creators Merck, invented, and this is, I actually have cited this in the thread, is when the inventors Merck created Propecia, it was because they had elderly children who had a DHT deficiency, which caused abnormally small prostates, much like that of a 12-year-old when your prostate begins to grow.
Now, let me ask you. Let me stop you there for a second. You said elderly children. What do you mean by elderly children?
Excuse me, children who had grown into adults.
Adults, okay.
Is what I meant. But since childhood, they had the deficiency, so their prostates literally never grew from that pea-sized prostate that you have when you're 12, which is why no 12-year-old on the face of the earth has male pattern baldness. The prostate's not large enough to create enough DHT. And while these people still produce small amounts of DHT in the testicles, in the liver, and as well as in certain the skin as well, but at such low levels, obviously, that they didn't experience hair loss. If their prostate never grew, these people didn't grow hair loss. It didn't have hair loss, and Merck was absolutely, they were fascinated by this. They wanted to create a drug that mimicked it. The initial purpose of it, when they released it, and I have all this on the thread, 5 years before Propecia was released as a hair loss medication, it was released to help the symptoms of benign prostatic BPH,
right.
Large prostate is what it's called. And 5 years later, they came out with it because it was growing hair on the crowns of people. So the point was, though, that if these people's prostates never grew to a certain size, they didn't experience hair loss. Another study that I put on there as well is that if you're castrated, fully castrated, obviously not in my case, being half castrated, if you will, if you're fully castrated, you don't, before the onset of puberty, you will not lose your hair. So while you still will produce enough DHT for your vocals to become deepened like men do and to grow some hair, usually not facial hair, they don't lose hair, period. You don't develop male pattern baldness.
Right.
This really underlines one common theme, is that if your prostate is kept small enough, the major production of DHT being the prostate, you will not experience high enough levels to lose hair. The real thing with Propecia that people kind of go back and forth on the thread is that some people say, well, Propecia, it doesn't reduce the prostate, it inhibits DHT. Vice versa, it makes no difference. It inhibits it and keeps your prostate small. Your prostate's really primary and only function is to create this seminal fluid, which is highly alkaline solution, to be able to keep your sperm from your testicles alive in the acidic vagina. So the only purpose it has is to aid in ejaculation. If you don't use it, it will not grow. It will not accelerate so fast as to induce hair loss at such a young age. So does that to say that if, say, you didn't use it at all, that 25 years down the road after your birth, after your puberty at 12 years old, that it wouldn't eventually get to a size that might start to kind of cause hair loss? Yes, I do believe that it could still do that, but to throw out the idea that excessively using it, especially, and by excessive, I truly mean that in our country, we are excessive sexually stimulated without us even having to know it. You walk by billboards, you read magazines.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Listen, I have to get off at least once or twice a day. I'm 47 years old. That's the way that I'm lucky. I have a wonderful person in my life. But for me, I don't know. I mean, I would hang myself.
And you know what? I totally agree. Which is why I have reduced my rates low enough to halt my hair loss, but not nearly done what I would do if I did not have a person in my life, because I want to keep her there, and I'm not going to turn away my beautiful girlfriend. So the point was girlfriend, now wife. The point is that I've reduced down to a rate of, from going 2 to 3 times a day, since puberty, literally. I've gone down to once a week. Sometimes I go as long as once every 2 weeks.
Oh wow, you are married.
This was brutal. Well, you know what? It had the opposite effect. As soon as you start implementing this into your marriage, you'll see how horny your wife comes for you. When you're not constantly wanting her all the time, it's kind of counterproductive because then she starts wanting it even more. But the point is that I've completely halted my hair loss, and I was very fast. My hairline was moving very fast. I've completely halted it by taking these methods. Now it's not the only thing I do. The tight scalp and this Gallia theory that people just completely throw out the window. I don't understand. Do you believe that a tight scalp induces an environment for DHT to cause hair loss?
Well, look, there was a theory for many years that the Gallia was really a main culprit of basically strangling hair follicles. And there was an actual operation that was being performed in Sweden. And I remember this early on in my hair loss career, and they were also doing it in some other European countries, where they would basically cut about 1.5 inch incision into the front of your scalp, and then manually try to loosen the Gallia or Gallia. And they were claiming that after that procedure, hair loss would be reversed and people were growing hair. I chose not to go down that route, but I will tell you that there was a time in my life where I actually considered getting on a plane and having it done. So if I can answer your question in a nutshell, I am not a big believer in that. I don't know if there's a lot of scientific data except for some of the stuff that I've read and probably the same stuff that you've read over the years. But I don't know. I mean, I'm very open-minded. At this point, I would probably say, you know what, guys, I'm not a big believer in the whole tight scalp theory. But you can prove me wrong. Let me know.
Yeah, Spencer. I promise you, if you do me a favor from here out, and it's not going to take much, really.
I'm not going to stop getting laid, though. I'm not going to stop getting laid.
No, that's okay, because it's not about whether someone should or shouldn't stop getting laid, but once there's enough attention and enough science brought to this. By the way, I have a study on that thread that literally shows there is only one hormone affected by ejaculation, and it's DHT. If you ejaculate one more time per week, if you ejaculate once a week, your DHT rises, and it is the only androgen, the only hormone, period, affected by hair loss.
Now, are you currently on finasteride or Propecia?
No, I'm not.
Okay, and now
although I'm inducing the exact same result by reducing my ejaculations, and I've gone as long as 2 months.
Now, what about the guys that are on it? And I mean, what's your theory there? The guys that are on it who are doing well with it, can they still ejaculate?
I believe that. The guys who are on, can they still ejaculate?
Can they still ejaculate at the way they would? If a guy's on it and doing well with it, can he get off every day?
I would actually believe that, in my opinion, that if Propecia hasn't affected your
where you from, by the way?
I'm from the Bay Area.
Okay, why are you calling it Propecia? I thought maybe you were from another country. It's Propecia, like alopecia.
I've always had this ever since I was young, and I've actually taken it from our brothers that I've taken a lot of heat about my pronunciations.
That's all right. I'm just giving you shit. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I actually believe that that Propecia would, if you're not experiencing any type of sexual sides from it whatsoever, it's not doing its job. You're literally fighting fire with fire. If you're still ejaculating at a high rate and you're taking Propecia, if you think of using anything, if you use your arm all the time, your muscle will build. If you use anything all the time, it will build. If you use your prostate all the time, it will get big. Most men, almost all men, experience a degree of an enlargement.
Well, I use my prick all the time, and it hasn't grown at all. So,
well, the thing is, it has, because at age 12, you begin a rapid growth rate that slows down for most people at about, you go from a size P prostate to about the size of a walnut by the time you're, usually for most men, in their early 20s. And then at that point, it grows, but very slowly from there. And most people don't notice problems with urination until they're in their 40s, maybe even 50s. And at that point, for you, I would be I'm very doubtful that you will ever notice anything from it, because Propecia is counteracting whatever your ejaculation rate is.
Well, but let me ask you, but if you're saying that's not working, I've been on it for a very, very long time. I have been
I don't think it does
ejaculating for a long time. So, but didn't you just say that you think that it's kind of ineffective? The guys that aren't experiencing side effects, if Propecia is not really effective for them.
It's like a math equation. We'll say that Propecia, and this is so stupid to even say, it kind of sounds silly, but we'll say that if you use Propecia the way it's prescribed, and you still ejaculate the same frequency, then you cancel it out. You'll probably maintain your hair growth at that point. Maintain the hair that you have, period. Just because your ejaculation rate is the same.
You scared me. You scared me. I thought I was going to start losing my hair now because I'm getting off once or twice a day.
That's why I don't think that's why I think Propecia for most people simply maintains their hair.
Okay.
It's because it's counteracting what you're doing to your prostate. And the real thing about it is that if you do experience hardcore side effects, most people freak out and don't even know what's going on. But if you do, and then you literally abruptly stop, like the first person I ever met and I've met somebody who completely grew their hair back on Propecia, but they could not get an erection at all. And it was the first person who ever told me about the drug when I first started noticing hair loss and worrying about it. And they had the thickest hair I've ever seen. And he showed me pictures of his hair. I don't know why he hasn't published it or put his things on. I think people kind of just, once they're over the hair loss, they forget about it. And he's an older gentleman. Maybe he doesn't even know that a foreign exists for hair loss. But the point is that he said that, the one side effect is I haven't had an erection in 6 months. And this guy completely grew his hair off.
Well, that's a fucked up side effect. That's something that everyone is very, very concerned about.
It is a messed up side effect. On the other hand, though, it might be just, in my opinion, the side effect that allowed him for such a large amount of regrowth. The guy is, he was a typical guy losing his hair in the recession pattern. All of us lose our hair in various patterns, but what I was going to tell you that I want you to do, because you're going to notice this and you're going to see it, is I want you to look at your eyebrows when you lift them up. When your eyebrows go up, you're going to see these lines. You have three major muscles in your head. You have these frontalis muscles, right?
Yeah.
Right in the front. Are you aware of the three in the side of the
I am, actually.
Okay, so I can't.
I don't know if you can see them.
You have the front, the sides, and the back. When you lift your eyebrows up, what you're going to notice on your head and every other single hair loss person you see is you're going to notice lines that are way south of the hairline, way south. For some people, they might go up right to the hairline, but if you touch the skin where you're losing it, the recession part, and you move it around, it is going to be very stiff, very, very stiff.
Okay.
It's not going to move around like your sides or your back where you have loose skin. And the reason being is because these muscles, for various reasons, become tight. And when you have tight muscles, they pull down and they create a pressure on the scalp.
This is why it will be. I'm going to have to cut. I'm going to have to cut you off, and I'm going to want you to call the program again because I want to put this out there. We have gotten, and again, I cannot read that form every day. I usually read it right before the show. And I see some crazy shit going on there. I see the complaints, and I see the moderators who contact me and like, what should we do? You have been, you've gotten a lot of complaints over the months, or I don't know how long you've been in the forum. But when I listen to you,
2 years.
When I listen to you speak, you are extremely articulate, except you can't say Propecia properly. But otherwise, you sound like a really, really smart guy. You express yourself in a lucid, just a really, well-heeled, I used that term before, manner. So I respect that. And you obviously have a lot of passion for what you believe in. I'm not going to say you're right or wrong. It's not for me to judge. You are kind of convincing me a little bit that at least some of what you're preaching, at least you've done a lot of research. And you really believe in what...
Can you do me one favor then?
Yeah, sure.
Just if you have a little bit of time. Under hair loss treatments, I recently revised my original theories because they were full of a bunch of things that weren't true. I went on a tangent the first time I discovered. I thought I just discovered the Holy Grail, when in reality the Holy Grail would be that we could all ejaculate every single day and still keep our hair.
That's my Holy Grail. right now.
So what I'd like you to do, if you get a chance, is go in, and I wrote a very short, it's less than a page if you were to read it out. If you go on to hair loss treatments and hair loss understood and explained, and you follow these links, and then it's just one little page with links of the diagrams of your muscles in your head and just a few other links to just kind of give you a really good understanding of where the blood vessels are coming from the carotid artery and how easily these can be tightened. If you read those, and then just underneath that I have about 5 studies. If you read these with an open mind, I promise you will be doing scalp exercises and laxity exercises to relieve some of the tension on your scalp, and you might even consider reducing your ejaculation rate. Maybe not. I don't.
Well, I think what's going to happen is as I get older, what's funny about me, for whatever reason, luckily, even at this age, it hasn't really reduced much. But I'm sure at some point I'm going to be less horny, right? That's what's supposed to happen, right?
The biggest problem with that for me is with anything that gets damaged over the years there becomes a point where it's just too late, and by the time you're old enough to where you literally can't ejaculate no more, I highly doubt that there's anything you could do left for your prostate. However, for you, again, you've been on Propecia long enough to where you've kept that prostate at bay.
20 years, bro. 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
20
so
years.
you probably have the size prostate functioning at the same level that we have. But if you read this one page with an open mind, at the very least, I guarantee you think to yourself that, okay, maybe this needs a little bit more focus. Maybe we need to do research because there is no definitive answer on either side of this. Not for me.
Listen,
I'm not saying
generic John, I promise you that I will. Generic John, I promise you I'll read that with an open mind. I want you to promise me one thing, though. I don't want my moderators contacting me, with all the crazy complaints anymore. So just do your thing, get your message out there, and I appreciate the fact that you called into the program, and I'm kind of glad that you did. I want you to call in again because you sound like a really smart guy. But just ease up on the form a little bit.
Absolutely, and I've already sent them emails and told them I appreciate them letting me off the hook and not just banning me. They're very fair.
Well, the reason why I'm also telling you to ease off is because I think you have an interesting message. So why not continue to get it out there, but in a reasonable way.
Absolutely.
All right, bro. Listen, thanks for the call. I'm going to read that, but I can't promise you about the masturbation thing.
Oh no, it's not masturbation. Remember, masturbate, have sex. It makes no difference to your prostate. When you ejaculate, you use it. The more often you use it. The one other study you'll see on there is after 7 days of not ejaculate, your testosterone spikes up. That's because your prostate is done refilling. It is done getting ready for the next time you ejaculate. Women's gestation periods are 9 months. We excessively outuse what we were intended to scientifically. I'm just like you guys. I love sex. I want to enjoy it the rest of my life. I hope something comes out so I don't even have to ever reduce my rate. But
listen, John,
there's not a choice.
I appreciate the call, and I'm so glad that you survived your testicular cancer, and good luck with everything. And you know what? I mean, I think you have something to offer, so, keep providing the information. And I am sure, I'm looking at my phones right now, someone's going to be calling in to give you some shit, so I'm sure you can deal with that. All right?
Here it comes.
All right.
I can deal with
Take care. Thanks for the call.
All right, you too.
All right.
Thanks, Spencer.
All right. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. And then we got to wrap it up. Who's this? You're on the air.
Is that me?
You're on the air too, Joe, but let's see who this is. Why can't I take this call? Hey, you're on the air. That's really weird. Hold on. Hey, you're on the air. It's not picking up. Joe, you there?
Yes.
All right, let me...
Well, thanks.
Go ahead.
Well, is this guy advocating the surgical removal of the prostate before puberty? Is that...
No, he's not. I don't think he's advocating the surgical removal of the prostate before puberty, but that's actually an interesting idea. I don't know why line 2 is not picking up. That is bizarre. I can't pick up the call.
I mean, I think that would be a very good idea. maybe implement that instead of castration. I'm a fan of castration for puberty, but maybe removal of the prostate.
I don't know. I'm actually very confused. Why I can't pick up my phones though? That's fucking bizarre.
I'll do the rest of the show with you, Spencer, if you wouldn't mind. Right, too.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me what you want to say.
Oh,
Talk to me.
This guy, you've had some very, very interesting callers tonight. I have to say, I was very, very impressed by your callers.
It was a very, very good show tonight. A lot of great callers. And I appreciate Generic John calling in because I have gotten so many complaints from my moderators, guys who were complaining about this guy posting on the forum who think he's a lunatic. And you know what? He doesn't sound like a lunatic. He sounds like he's pretty well-versed at what he's talking about, and maybe there's something to it. I don't know. And, my detractors are going to say, oh, Kobren doesn't know something. But you know what? I try to look at everything with an open mind.
But, excuse me. That's very fair of you. Your detractors, could say negative things about you, but some people think I'm insane.
You know what? Fuck them. That's what I say. Fuck them. Let them do that. Let them. The more they talk about us, Joe, the better it is for what we do. Let me see if I can take this call. I'm having problems with my phone here.
I'm sorry.
It's not picking up. Whoever's on the line, I'm so sorry. Something happened to my phone system.
Maybe it's Andrew.
Maybe it is, but I can't even hang up on you, Joe. I can't hang up on anybody. Let's see. Some reason everything's locked here. All right, guys, listen. Anyway, it's 7:06. I need to wrap up the show. Something happened to my phone system. I don't know what it is, but maybe I could fix it for the next broadcast. And you know what? Andrew is trying to call. And Andrew, I'm so sorry. Do you want to Skype in? Is that possible? Andrew, why don't you put your mic on so we could say hi to you? You there, Andrew? Andrew, put your mic on, and I'm sure we can see if we can get you on the air real quick.
Hey, Spence.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, what's going on?
What the fuck is wrong with my phone system? I can't even answer the call, man. It's on hold. It's not picking up.
I don't know, man. I'm sitting in bed. I'm watching hardcore porn, and I look at the chat room, and people are talking about not jerking off and causing blindness. Have I entered Bizarro World?
Yeah, listen, I should have the hairiest palms and the worst eyesight at this point in my life. But I got to tell you, for all the shit this guy gets on our message forum, he sounds like a very reasonable guy, to tell you the truth.
They always do. They always do, Spence. They always do.
Come on, he sounds okay.
He did, and then I look in the chat room, and they're talking about ejaculating, and listen, no. I don't think that has anything to do with anything.
Well, you know what? There's most scientists or most people in the hair loss world will say that it really has little to do with it. And, there's some theory that, guys who work out a lot can exacerbate their hair loss and all this stuff. And I really think it depends on the person. But, I mean, his theory is interesting. And he doesn't sound like a stupid guy. He doesn't sound like a lunatic either.
What is this?
He doesn't. Do you think the guy sounds like a lunatic?
Me or Joe?
Joe.
Who are you asking?
Joe.
What'd you say about me?
Do you think that John sounded like a lunatic? I think he sounded like a pretty normal guy, actually.
Oh, well, he did sound pretty normal. You don't think so, Andrew?
I don't know. There's a crazy conspiracy theories. Next thing I'm going to hear is that hair loss caused the buildings to come down.
Hey, listen, there are, but he sounds like a pretty normal guy. So you know what? I'm gonna listen to him as far as I'm gonna read his thread. But I'm not gonna go. I don't want to go in the forum until next week because it's just craziness when I read that place. And I'll see what he has to say. Maybe I'll be doing.
He did sound like a normal guy. I was very disappointed in that, actually.
Maybe I will do some scalp exercises eventually. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? We'll see.
When he was on the phone, I imagined somebody totally different to be calling.
You would think it would be like completely
like Joe.
Well, like someone who sounds like Joe, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew, you made me laugh on Friday. I could tell you. I won't say why, but
I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed.
You made me laugh and cry.
I've been
No,
told that
please,
by
please, whatever you do, please don't do that. All right?
And Spencer's producers forbid you from that.
Yes.
the producers, the big bosses. I got 15 calls, and I was told I can't ever do that.
Oh,
Very
well,
disappointing.
okay. It was very enjoyable, though. I have to tell you that.
Can't do it. Cannot do it. You do it on your show. But listen, we got to go. Andrew, thank you for calling in. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with my phones. I can't even hang up on it. I can't put Joe back into a regular queue. My phone system just went kaput.
Can I just say something before I go?
I'm going to have to call. Yeah, go ahead.
It's. I just want everyone to know it's not the hair that you have on your head. It's the hair that you have on your heart.
You're so fucked up. You are so fucked up.
I didn't do anything.
Hey guys, listen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Andrew, thanks for calling in. Joe, thanks a lot. I can't hang up on you, but I'm going to see what's going on with the phone. I may have to reboot this whole thing. Guys, let me go out the website or the websites. TheBaldTruth.com, of course, for the radio show website. Check out AmericanHairLoss.org. If you're a woman dealing with hair loss, please check out our sister site, Women's Hair Loss Project.com. And you know what? If you want to interact with other hair loss sufferers, but be careful in there, please. Check out baldtruthtalk.com, and you can read John's posts about reducing masturbation and DHT and all that stuff, which is kind of interesting stuff, at baldtruthtalk.com. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening. Take care.